All right, is former presidential candidate John Edwards about to be indicted for alleged misuse of campaign money to cover up an affair? Our legal guys are back. Avery Friedman in Cleveland, Richard Herman in Las Vegas. All right, gentlemen. Avery, you first. Are we looking at a potential trial here with an indictment that precedes it, or are we looking at possible plea deals?
Both, actually.
Yeah?
There's, I think, little doubt that the Justice Department is going to indict John Edwards, but they're going to have to prove a case that is very novel, both in facts and law. The bottom line on it is his big donor, Buddy Mellon, gave him $4 million, 700,000 of which is alleged to have been applied to Rielle Hunter and a cover-up. The campaign manager is dead. Bunny, by the way, Frederica, is 100 years old. Actually, John Edwards went to visit her yesterday, and the only witness left, the discredited Andrew Young, the former campaign aide.
But about that money, prosecutors are going to have to prove that the money, if there was money that was transferred to Rielle Hunter, that it came from that Mellon money and not perhaps from John Edwards' own bank account, because he had money too.
Sure.
So that's going to be difficult, is it not?
Absolutely. Well, I don't think it's going to be difficult, Fred, since his former finance chairman, Fred Barron, already gave interviews with the government to say that he absolutely took that money and used it for a cover-up, cover up his relationship with her. They'll forensically trace the funds. The issue is violation of public trust. The Department of Justice is not going to put up with that. He raised some $50 million from campaign donations, and if they applied any of that money to cover up his relationship, that's improper. That's what they will indict for. I guarantee you John Edwards' hair is all messed up these days, and he is absolutely sweating this one out. But they'll probably make a deal.
So apparently, as part of discussions about a deal might mean that John Edwards would have to give up his license to practice, and he doesn't want to do that. So is that going to potentially be the real sticking point, Avery, as to whether he would plea or not?
Well, the risk is bigger than that, actually. I mean, that would be the least you would look at if the indictment comes down, because the government's not going to go away. But Richard mentioned Fred Barron, the campaign manager. He's dead. He can't testify. Right. So I think, again, the only witness left is the discredited campaign aide. That's it. And nobody believes Andrew Young anyhow. I don't know how the government's going to make their case.
Interesting. All right. Well, anything could happen. And it seems like this has been going on for so long, this whole discovery phase, and we still have yet to hear whether the grand jury will conclude an indictment or not. All right, let's move on to something else a lot of people are looking forward to, Hangover 2. You guys probably saw Hangover 1, right? In the movie theater?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
that's Richard's
lacking
kind of
enthusiasm there was hilarious. Okay, so
Vegas.
Big weekend, this weekend, Hangover 2. People are lined up, but it almost didn't happen because the artist who says that he patented that actual tattoo that Mike Tyson wears right there.
Yeah.
That it makes another appearance in this movie, but on someone else's face. Well, that artist has a real problem with this and says, this is like copyright infringement. So, Richard, the movie gets to go on, hit theaters anyway. What does that say about the case of this artist? S. Victor Whitnell.
The case is strong.
It is?
Yeah, the case is strong. He copyrighted that particular design, and he brought a lawsuit to try to stop the movie from going this weekend, to try to force some sort of settlement with the studio. Well, the judge said, look, it's going to cause irreparable harm to the studio, so I'm going to allow them to show the movie. However, I find a likelihood of success on the merits for you, Mr. Artist. So those words are going to be very scary for all the defendants in this case, and they are going to absolutely structure a settlement. Look, the movie made over $37 million in one day this weekend.
Wow. And so, Avery, the artist, all he really wants is to get, recognized, and I imagine to get paid for this too. So the movie gets to continue on. It just means that ultimately he may be able to shave off some of the profits, right? And pocket it himself.
Well, that's what he's looking to do. U.S. District Judge Catherine Perry, who heard the case, the federal judge, rejected Warner Brothers' argument. Warner Brothers argued you can't copyright a tattoo. That was their argument. The federal district judge wrote in her opinion, She said it was silly. Of course you can. But the idea of blocking the opening of Hangover 2 and all that's with it, I mean, the federal district judge was right. You're not going to block the opening. It was the right thing to do, but in a way, it's correct because the judge still has to hear the merits of the case, even though there's a likelihood of prevailing. So I think this tattoo artist is in pretty good shape for the future.
And so I imagine the attorneys for the movie are now trying to do a little added research, really vigorous research to see if did he really patent this? Might anybody else have a very similar, if not identical, tattoo that has more, cultural roots or something that wouldn't necessarily be patented, Richard?
Well, that's
Good.
great, Fred. That's a great theory. I think you've just given them somewhere to go. But I've never seen this tattoo before. It's pretty bizarre. Right. And when you look at the movie,
actually,
the first thing anybody says is, yeah. I'm sorry, I said, when anybody saw this design in the movie commercials, the first thing they said is, that's Mike Tyson's tattoo.
Right.
So it's just a natural reaction.
Okay,
But the tattoo artist didn't originate that. This comes from a tribal design from Africa.
That's what I thought.
There's
And
a
New
variation
Zealand.
on it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's right. I mean, that's your point. I mean, they're going to hire, Warner Brothers should be hiring Frederica to defend this case. I'm telling you, that's exactly what the defense is. I think it's a good one. But again, there's going to be a very close examination of the two tattoos. We're going to see what happens. I think the tattoo artist prevails in the case.
Woo! Okay, we'll see. And
Yeah.
Richard, you're calling it how?
Settlement.
Who prevails?
Settlement.
Oh, settlement. Okay.
Settlement.
All right. All right, gentlemen. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. Always good to see you. Have a great weekend,
Wonderful to see
Richard
you.
and Avery. And
Have
Happy
a
Memorial
wonderful
Day.
holiday too, Frederica.
thank you so much.
All
And
the
of course,
best.
we're talking about Hangover 2, which means it's probably, part of your plan this weekend. Well,